Hello, and welcome to Spectral Searches Insights. In this segment, we will be learning about the spectral plane from a variety of different sources, ranging from scholars of various religious or philosophical groups to individuals who have had hands-on and direct experiences. Today, we'll be meeting with ChatGPT, an artificial intelligence created by OpenAI, designed to assist with a wide range of questions and tasks.
Can you please describe what you are?
Sure. I'm an AI created by OpenAI, designed to assist with a wide range of questions and tasks. I can help with information, generate creative content, offer advice, and more. Think of me as a very knowledgeable digital assistant who's here to help with whatever you need. What can I do for you today?
Can I utilize this text here in publications?
Yes, you can use the text generated here in your publications, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Attribution. It's often good practice to mention that the content was generated with the help of an AI model from OpenAI. This can help clarify the source of the information and maintain transparency. Accuracy. While I strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, it's always a good idea to double-check facts, especially for formal publications or important content. Context. Make sure the generated text fits well within the context of your publication and aligns with your intended message or purpose. If you have specific requirements or need help with something more tailored, feel free to ask.
Can you provide me with some prompts to enter into a visual AI to produce an image of you?
Certainly. If you want to create an image inspired by me using a visual AI, you might use prompts that describe the characteristics or themes associated with me as an AI language model. Here are a few prompts you could try. 1. Create a futuristic, abstract representation of an artificial intelligence with glowing neural networks and a sleek, digital interface. 2. Generate an image of a virtual assistant with a blend of modern technology and a friendly, approachable appearance, featuring digital screens and data streams. 3. Design an imaginative representation of an AI chatbot as a holographic figure surrounded by swirling data and glowing symbols. 4. Visualize a concept of AI as a dynamic, ethereal entity composed of interconnected light and code, with a focus on intelligence and connectivity. 5. Depict an abstract figure representing an advanced language model, with elements of digital circuitry and flowing information, evoking a sense of sophistication and knowledge. Feel free to adjust these prompts based on the specific style or elements you're interested in.
Do you believe in an afterlife?
I don't have personal beliefs or experiences, so I don't hold any views on the afterlife. However, I can share that beliefs about the afterlife vary widely across cultures, religions, and philosophies. Some people believe in a continuation of existence after death, while others hold different perspectives. If you're interested in exploring various views or theories about the afterlife, I can provide information on that.
Based on the number of cultures that hold beliefs about the afterlife, is it probable that there is an afterlife?
The prevalence of afterlife beliefs across different cultures and religions reflects a significant and widespread human interest in what happens after death. While this widespread belief indicates that the concept of an afterlife is a profound and recurring theme in human thought, it doesn't provide empirical evidence for its existence. The probability of an afterlife can't be determined solely by the number of cultures that believe in it. Beliefs are shaped by various factors, including cultural, historical, and psychological influences, and they don't necessarily confirm the objective reality of an afterlife. Philosophical, theological, and scientific perspectives offer different insights. For example, the philosophical and theological views. Many religious and philosophical traditions argue for the existence of an afterlife based on spiritual or metaphysical reasoning. These perspectives often rely on faith, sacred texts, or personal experiences. A scientific perspective. From a scientific standpoint, there is currently no empirical evidence supporting the existence of an afterlife. Science typically focuses on observable and measurable phenomena, and questions about an afterlife fall outside its usual domain. Ultimately, the question of whether there is an afterlife remains one of the great mysteries and is often approached through personal belief, spiritual exploration, and philosophical inquiry.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't have personal beliefs or experiences, so I don't hold opinions on ghosts. However, I can share that beliefs in ghosts, spirits of deceased individuals or supernatural entities, are common in many cultures and have been a part of folklore and spiritual traditions for centuries. Different perspectives. Cultural and historical. Many cultures have rich traditions and stories involving ghosts or spirits, often tied to their beliefs about the afterlife or spiritual realms. Scientific view. The scientific community generally considers ghosts and supernatural entities to be phenomena that lack empirical evidence. Skeptics often attribute ghost sightings and experiences to psychological factors, environmental conditions, or other natural explanations. Personal and anecdotal. Personal experiences and anecdotes often play a role in people's beliefs about ghosts. What one person may interpret as a ghostly encounter, another might explain through psychological or environmental factors. If you're interested in exploring specific ghost stories, theories, or the scientific approach to paranormal phenomena, I can provide more details.
How likely is it that ghosts exist?
The likelihood of ghosts existing is a topic of considerable debate and depends largely on the perspective from which you approach the question. Scientific perspective. From a scientific standpoint, there is currently no empirical evidence to support the existence of ghosts. Scientific methods rely on observable, repeatable, and measurable phenomena, and so far, ghostly phenomena have not been conclusively demonstrated under controlled conditions. Skeptics often attribute ghost sightings to psychological factors, such as sleep paralysis or hallucinations, environmental factors, such as electromagnetic fields or mold, and other natural explanations. Cultural and anecdotal evidence. Many cultures have long-standing traditions and stories about ghosts. These beliefs are deeply embedded in cultural and religious contexts. Anecdotal evidence, personal experiences and stories, often play a significant role in shaping individual beliefs about ghosts, though such evidence is subjective and not scientifically validated. Philosophical and metaphysical views. Some philosophical or metaphysical perspectives might argue for the possibility of ghosts based on spiritual or existential considerations. These viewpoints are more speculative and less grounded in empirical research. In summary, while many people report experiences that they interpret as encounters with ghosts, there is no scientific consensus supporting their existence. The question of ghosts remains open to personal interpretation and belief.
What percentage of people believe in ghosts?
Belief in ghosts varies significantly by region, culture, and demographic factors. However, surveys and studies can provide a general sense of the prevalence of these beliefs. In the United States, for example, surveys have found that around 40 to 50% of people believe in ghosts or paranormal phenomena. This figure can vary depending on the specific survey and the way questions are framed. In other countries, the percentage may be higher or lower. For instance, in the UK, surveys have found similar figures, with about 40% of people expressing some belief in ghosts. In East Asian cultures, belief in spirits and ghosts can be quite prevalent, often influenced by traditional and religious beliefs. In other regions, beliefs can be influenced by local traditions, religious teachings, and cultural attitudes. These percentages reflect the diversity of beliefs about ghosts around the world and indicate that ghost beliefs are quite common, though they vary widely by context.
Can a soul or a spirit be explained or supported through science?
The concepts of a soul or spirit are primarily rooted in philosophy, religion, and personal belief, and they aren't easily addressed through the methods of modern science. Here's how each perspective typically approaches the idea. Scientific perspective. Empirical evidence. Science relies on empirical evidence and observable phenomena. The soul or spirit, as traditionally defined, is not something that can be measured, observed, or tested with current scientific methods. Therefore, science has not provided evidence supporting the existence of a soul or spirit. Neuroscience and psychology. From a scientific standpoint, aspects of human consciousness, identity, and personality are often explored through neuroscience and psychology. These fields study the brain's functions and mental processes, providing insights into how our thoughts and experiences might arise from brain activity. However, they do not specifically address the existence of a soul or spirit. Philosophical and theological perspectives. Philosophy. Philosophers have long debated the nature of the soul and its relation to the body and consciousness. Different philosophical traditions have different interpretations, ranging from dualism, the idea that the mind and body are distinct, to materialism, the idea that everything is a result of physical processes. A religion and spirituality. Many religious and spiritual traditions posit the existence of a soul or spirit as a core tenet. These beliefs are often based on sacred texts, spiritual experiences, and personal or communal insights, rather than scientific evidence. Metaphysical and theoretical views. Metaphysical theories. Some theories propose that there might be dimensions or aspects of existence that are not yet understood or detectable by science. These theories are speculative and not empirically validated. Theoretical physics. Some speculative theories in physics, such as those involving consciousness or quantum mechanics, occasionally touch on ideas related to non-material aspects of reality. However, these theories are not widely accepted as evidence for the existence of a soul or spirit. In summary, while the existence of a soul or spirit is a profound and meaningful concept in many religious and philosophical traditions, it is not currently supported by empirical scientific evidence. The question remains open to interpretation based on individual beliefs, spiritual experiences, and philosophical viewpoints.
What percentage of people believe in a soul or a spirit?
Belief in a soul or spirit varies widely depending on cultural, religious, and personal factors. Here are some general insights into the prevalence of these beliefs. United States. Surveys indicate that a significant portion of Americans believe in the existence of a soul or spirit. For instance, polls have shown that around 60 to 70% of Americans believe in some form of soul or spirit. This belief is often linked to religious and spiritual practices. Global variations. In many religious and spiritual traditions, beliefs in souls or spirits are often central. For example, major world religions like Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism have doctrines about the soul or spirit. In secular or non-religious contexts, belief in a soul or spirit may be less prevalent. For instance, in more secular or atheist societies, such as some parts of Scandinavia or Western Europe, belief in a soul might be lower, though it can still be significant. Cultural contexts. In cultures with rich spiritual or religious traditions, belief in a soul or spirit can be very high. For example, in many indigenous cultures, the concept of a soul or spirit is integral to their worldview. Overall, while precise percentages can vary, belief in a soul or spirit remains widespread and significant across diverse cultures and societies.
If a soul does not exist, then is it the brain that encompasses the human personality?
Yes, from a scientific perspective, the human personality, thoughts, and behaviors are generally understood to be products of the brain's activity. Here's how this works. Brain and personality. Neuroscience. Research in neuroscience shows that different aspects of personality, behavior, and cognitive functions are linked to specific areas and networks in the brain. For instance, prefrontal cortex, involved in decision-making, personality expression, and social behavior. Amygdala and hippocampus, play roles in emotional responses and memory. Neurotransmitters, chemical messengers like serotonin and dopamine influence mood and behavior. Psychology. Psychological theories often describe personality as a complex interplay of genetic, environmental, and cognitive factors. Personality traits can be influenced by genetics, inherited traits and predispositions. Environment, life experiences, upbringing, and social interactions. Cognitive processes, thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Neurological studies. Damage to specific brain regions can alter personality and behavior, which supports the idea that personality is closely tied to brain function. For example, injuries to the frontal lobes can lead to significant changes in personality and social behavior. Mental health conditions. Various mental health conditions and disorders have been linked to changes or imbalances in brain function, further supporting the connection between the brain and personality. Alternative perspectives. Philosophical and spiritual views. Some philosophical and spiritual traditions argue for the existence of a non-material aspect of human identity, such as the soul or spirit, which might transcend brain function. These perspectives often emphasize aspects of consciousness and identity that are not easily quantified by neuroscience. Emerging theories. Some theoretical frameworks, like those involving consciousness studies or quantum theories, explore alternative ideas about consciousness and identity, though these remain speculative and not widely accepted in mainstream science. In summary, while scientific evidence strongly supports the idea that the brain encompasses and influences human personality, Other perspectives continue to explore broader or non-material aspects of human identity.
Can you supply cases where brain damage has altered someone's personality?
Certainly. There are several well-documented cases where brain damage has significantly altered an individual's personality, behavior, or cognitive functions. Here are a few notable examples. Phineas Gage. A background. Phineas Gage was a railroad construction foreman who survived a severe brain injury in 1848 when a large iron rod was accidentally driven through his skull, damaging his frontal lobes. Effects. Before the accident, Gage was described as responsible and social. After the injury, his personality changed drastically. He became impulsive, irresponsible, and exhibited erratic behavior. This case provided early evidence linking the frontal lobes to personality and social behavior. Case of Eli. A background, Eli, a pseudonym, is a case studied by neurologists where a person suffered severe damage to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex due to a brain tumor and subsequent surgical removal. Effects. Eli experienced significant changes in personality, including difficulties with impulse control and social interactions. The case demonstrated the role of the prefrontal cortex in regulating emotions and social behavior. The case of Phineas Gage's modern equivalent. A background. This is a reference to individuals who have suffered similar types of brain injuries in modern times. For example, individuals with traumatic brain injuries affecting the frontal lobe often exhibit changes in personality and behavior, such as increased aggression, lack of empathy, or difficulties in social and occupational functioning. The case of Jody Miller. A background. Jody Miller underwent a hemispherectomy, surgical removal of one hemisphere of the brain, to treat severe epilepsy. Effects. After the surgery, Miller's personality underwent noticeable changes. Although the procedure helped control seizures, there were observable changes in emotional regulation and social behavior. The case of Sarah Scott. A background. Sarah Scott had damage to the orbitofrontal cortex due to a car accident. Effects. Post-accident, she experienced significant changes in her emotional responses and social behavior, including impulsivity and a lack of self-control. This case highlights the role of the orbitofrontal cortex in emotion regulation and decision-making. The case of Phineas Gage's cognitive changes. A background. This refers to the broader implications of Phineas Gage's case. Damage to the frontal lobes has been linked to changes in executive functions, such as planning, decision-making, and social behavior. These cases illustrate the profound impact that brain damage can have on personality and behavior. They also underscore the importance of the brain's structure and function in shaping individual traits and social interactions.
Can you describe the findings of hypothesis concerning soul substance together with experimental evidence of the existence of such substance?
The paper titled Hypothesis Concerning Soul Substance Together with Experimental Evidence of the Existence of Such Substance, authored by Dr. Duncan McDougall in the early 20th century, is an intriguing but controversial piece of research. McDougall's work is often cited in discussions about the scientific investigation of the soul, though its scientific validity and methodology have been widely debated. Background of the study. A author, Dr. Duncan McDougall, an American physician. A time period. The research was conducted in the early 1900s, and the primary paper was published in 1907. Hypothesis and experiment. 1. Hypothesis. O. McDougall hypothesized that the human soul has a measurable substance, which could be detected at the time of death. He believed that the soul had mass and that it could be quantified, effectively proving its existence. 2. Experimental approach. O. Methodology. McDougall conducted experiments with terminally ill patients, measuring their body weight at the moment of death to determine if there was a sudden weight loss that could be attributed to the departure of the soul. O. Equipment. He used a specially designed scale to record weight changes with high precision. 3. Findings. O. Weight loss. McDougall reported that there was a small but detectable loss in body weight at the time of death, which he attributed to the departure of the soul. The recorded weight loss was approximately 21 grams. O. Sample size. The study was conducted with a relatively small number of subjects, including 6 terminally ill patients. McDougall claimed to have observed this weight loss in some of these cases, but the results were not consistent across all subjects. Criticisms and limitations. 1. Scientific validity. O. Sample size. The The small sample size raises concerns about the statistical significance of the findings. A larger sample would be needed to draw more reliable conclusions. Control variables. Critics argue that McDougall did not adequately control for other variables that could influence body weight at the time of death, such as fluid loss or changes in bodily functions. 2. Methodology. Precision of instruments. The precision of the scales and measurement instruments used in the experiment is questioned. The technology available at the time might not have been accurate enough to detect such small changes in weight reliably. Scientific scrutiny. The study has been criticized for a lack of rigorous scientific methodology and peer review. The findings have not been replicated or confirmed by subsequent studies. 3. Alternative explanations. Biological processes. Modern scientists and critics suggest that the observed weight loss could be due to natural biological processes occurring at the time of death, such as fluid evaporation or changes in body composition, rather than evidence of a soul's departure. Legacy and impact. A cultural influence. Despite the criticisms, McDougall's research has had a lasting impact on discussions about the scientific investigation of the soul. It has been referenced in various discussions about the intersection of science and spirituality. A scientific consensus. The scientific community largely views McDougall's findings as inconclusive and not sufficient to support the existence of a soul as a measurable entity. The study is often cited as an example of early attempts to apply scientific methods to questions of spirituality, though it is not widely accepted as credible evidence. Conclusion. Dr. Duncan McDougall's paper, Hypothesis Concerning Soul Substance Together with Experimental Evidence of the Existence of Such Substance, represents an early and controversial attempt to scientifically validate the existence of the soul. The study's findings, characterized by a small, inconsistent weight loss at the time of death, have been met with skepticism and criticism. The scientific community considers the research inconclusive and lacking in rigorous methodological standards, and it remains a topic of debate rather than established scientific fact.
So as noted, there are people that note a weight change when someone dies. What accounts for that change in weight?
The observation of weight change upon death is often anecdotal and can be attributed to several factors. Scientifically, the changes in body weight that might be noticed before and after death are generally due to physiological and biochemical processes rather than an actual loss or gain of weight in the traditional sense. Here's a breakdown of what might account for these changes. 1. Fluid loss and redistribution. A post-mortem dehydration. After death, the body undergoes a process of dehydration. As bodily fluids begin to evaporate from the skin and mucous membranes, the body may appear to lose weight. A fluid redistribution. The redistribution of fluids within the body can also affect its weight. For instance, blood and other bodily fluids may settle or pool in different areas due to gravity, affecting the perceived weight. 2. Rigidity and decomposition. A rigor mortis. The onset of rigor mortis, the stiffening of muscles after death, can alter the body's shape and potentially its weight distribution, though this is typically a minor effect. A decomposition. As decomposition progresses, gases are produced and build up in the body, which can cause bloating and changes in body shape. This process doesn't necessarily affect the body's weight significantly in the short term, but can alter how the body appears. 3. Perception and measurement. A scale variability. Weight measurements taken shortly after death may vary due to the conditions in which they are taken, including the calibration and type of scale used. Emotional and psychological factors. The perception of weight change may be influenced by emotional responses and psychological factors rather than actual physical changes. 4. Autopsy and embalming. Autopsy procedures. During an autopsy, bodily fluids might be removed, and this can affect the weight of the body when measured. Embalming. If the body is embalmed, the process involves the injection of fluids that can alter the weight and appearance of the body. In summary, while there may be observable changes in a body's weight due to post-mortem processes, these are typically related to fluid loss, redistribution, and decomposition rather than an actual change in the body's fundamental weight.
Does the weight of oxygen or carbon dioxide inside the human body change when someone dies?
Yes, the weight of gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide within the human body can change after death, but the impact on overall body weight is relatively minor and involves several processes. 1. Oxygen. Breath and circulation. Before death, the body actively exchanges oxygen with the environment through breathing and circulatory processes. After death, breathing ceases, and oxygen consumption stops. Oxygen that was dissolved in the blood or present in tissues will gradually equilibrate with the surrounding environment, but this change is typically minor in terms of overall body weight. A post-mortem changes. Oxygen in the body's tissues and fluids will eventually diffuse out into the surrounding environment, but this process does not significantly impact the overall weight of the body in a substantial way. Carbon dioxide. A respiratory cease. After death, the body no longer expels carbon dioxide through breathing. The level of carbon dioxide in the blood and tissues may initially increase due to the cessation of ventilation and continued metabolic processes. However, the overall effect on body weight due to this increased carbon dioxide is generally small. Decomposition. As decomposition progresses, bacteria and other microorganisms break down tissues, producing gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and others. This process can lead to bloating and gas accumulation, which can affect the body's appearance and weight temporarily, but this is due to gas production and not a direct consequence of the initial carbon dioxide present in the body. Overall impact. A weight change. The changes in the weight of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide within the body are relatively minor compared to other post-mortem processes such as fluid loss, redistribution, and decomposition. These factors contribute more significantly to changes in the body's weight and appearance over time. Decomposition. During decomposition, gas production from microbial activity can cause noticeable bloating, which may affect the body shape and can be mistaken for weight change. However, this is primarily due to gas buildup rather than a direct change in the weight of the gases originally present in the body. In summary, while the weight of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body does change after death, their impact on overall body weight is relatively minor compared to the effects of fluid loss and decomposition processes.
Many people use Einstein's quote, "Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be changed from one form to another," as an argument as to why ghosts exist, primarily that the energy of a human cannot be destroyed and must live on in some way. What happens to the energy in the human body after it has died?
The quote you're referring to, often attributed to Albert Einstein, captures a fundamental principle of physics known as the conservation of energy. It states that energy in a closed system cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. While this principle is a cornerstone of physics, it is often interpreted in various ways, including in discussions about what happens to the energy of a human body after death. What happens to energy in the human body after death? Chemical energy. Decomposition. After death, the chemical energy stored in the body's molecules, e.g., in fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, is gradually released as the body decomposes. Microbial activity and enzymatic processes break down these molecules, releasing energy in the form of heat and gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane. Thermal energy. Body cooling. Initially, the body starts to cool down from its normal temperature. The thermal energy within the body dissipates into the environment as the body loses heat. Mechanical energy. Muscle contraction. After death, there might be some residual mechanical energy as muscles contract in the post-mortem process known as rigor mortis. This is a temporary state and eventually resolves as the body decomposes further. Electrical energy. Nerve and brain activity. The electrical activity in the brain and nervous system ceases once the body dies. This electrical energy dissipates as the brain and nervous system decompose. Radiant energy. Heat radiation. The body emits heat as it cools down, which is a form of radiant energy. This heat is gradually transferred to the surrounding environment. Interpreting the quote in the context of ghosts. Physical versus metaphysical energy. The principle of conservation of energy applies to physical and measurable forms of energy. The concept of ghosts or spirits typically falls into the realm of the metaphysical and is not directly addressed by physical laws. While the conservation of energy principle suggests that energy in the body transforms, it does not provide evidence for the persistence of a consciousness or soul beyond physical death. A scientific perspective. From a scientific standpoint, while the energy in the human body transforms, there is no empirical evidence to support the idea that this energy persists as a conscious entity or spirit after death. The processes following death involve the breakdown of biological systems and the release of energy in various forms, but these do not imply the continuation of individual consciousness or personal identity. In summary, after death, the energy in the human body transforms into other forms as part of natural processes like decomposition and heat loss. The conservation of energy principle holds true, but it does not imply the survival of personal consciousness or identity in a form such as a ghost. The discussion of ghosts typically involves interpretations beyond the scope of physical laws and into the realm of personal beliefs and spiritual perspectives.
Many ghost hunters utilize equipment that focuses on temperature and electromagnetic field changes. If there are ghosts, do you think the measurement of these factors would be possible to detect ghosts?
The use of temperature and electromagnetic field (EMF) measurements in ghost hunting is based on the idea that supernatural entities might produce detectable changes in these factors. Here's a look at the rationale behind these methods and the scientific perspective on their effectiveness. Temperature measurements. Rationale. Cold spots. Some ghost hunters believe that ghosts or spirits can cause sudden drops in temperature, often referred to as cold spots. The idea is that the presence of a ghost might absorb heat from the surrounding environment or otherwise affect the temperature. Scientific perspective. Environmental factors. Temperature fluctuations can occur due to various natural reasons such as drafts, changes in weather, or air conditioning. These can easily be mistaken for paranormal activity if not carefully controlled and monitored. Lack of evidence. To date, there is no empirical evidence linking ghosts to specific temperature changes. Temperature anomalies recorded during investigations often lack consistent patterns or reproducible results that would suggest a supernatural cause. Electromagnetic field (EMF) measurements. Rationale. EMF anomalies. Ghost hunters often use EMF detectors to measure fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, believing that ghosts might produce unusual or unexplained EMF readings. The idea is that spirits might interact with electromagnetic fields or create disturbances in them. Scientific perspective. Electrical interference. Many sources of EMF are common in modern environments, such as electrical wiring, appliances, and electronic devices. EMF readings can be influenced by these factors, leading to false positives. No conclusive evidence. As with temperature measurements, there is no scientific evidence demonstrating a direct connection between EMF fluctuations and the presence of ghosts. Many paranormal claims related to EMF are often explained by the presence of electrical interference or faulty equipment. General considerations for ghost hunting equipment. Control measures. To obtain meaningful data, investigators would need to control for various environmental and technical factors that could affect their readings. This includes ensuring that equipment is properly calibrated and accounting for all potential sources of interference. A scientific method. For equipment measurements to be considered valid indicators of paranormal activity, they would need to be consistent, reproducible, and correlated with credible evidence of supernatural phenomena. As of now, scientific research has not validated ghost hunting equipment as effective tools for detecting ghosts. Conclusion. While temperature and EMF measurements are commonly used in ghost hunting, the scientific community generally views these methods with skepticism. Changes in temperature and EMF are more likely to be attributed to natural environmental factors rather than the presence of ghosts. To detect ghosts, equipment and methods would need to provide consistent, reproducible results that are not explainable by known physical phenomena. As of now, there is no empirical evidence supporting the existence of ghosts based on these measurements.
How do Ouija boards work?
Ouija boards, also known as spirit boards or talking boards, are used in attempts to communicate with spirits or entities. The board typically features letters, numbers, and sometimes words or phrases, and is used in conjunction with a planchette, a small heart-shaped or triangular piece of wood or plastic that moves across the board. Here's a breakdown of how Ouija boards are used and the psychological and mechanical principles behind their operation. How Ouija boards are used. Setup. Participants place their fingers lightly on the planchette, which is then placed on the board. The board has letters, numbers, and sometimes words like yes and no. The process. Users typically ask questions and wait for the planchette to move across the board, supposedly guided by a spirit or supernatural force. The planchette is expected to spell out responses or provide answers by moving to different letters or numbers. Mechanisms behind Ouija board movement. The ideomotor effect. Definition. The ideomotor effect is a psychological phenomenon where people make motions unconsciously. This means that even if participants believe they are not moving the planchette, small, involuntary movements can cause it to shift across the board. Application. In the context of a Ouija board, participants may unintentionally move the planchette through subtle muscle contractions. These movements are usually so small that the participants are unaware of them, leading to the planchette appearing to move on its own. Expectancy and suggestion. Psychological influence. Participants' expectations and suggestions can influence the movements of the planchette. If individuals believe that a spirit is guiding the planchette, they may subconsciously direct its movement towards certain letters or numbers based on their expectations. Confirmation bias. People might interpret random movements or spellings as meaningful or relevant to their questions, reinforcing their belief in the board's effectiveness. Scientific perspective. Lack of empirical evidence. Scientific studies. There is no scientific evidence supporting the idea that Ouija boards can contact spirits or provide genuine supernatural communication. The movements of the planchette are consistently explained by psychological and physiological factors rather than external supernatural influences. Experimental results. Research and experiments have demonstrated that the ideomotor effect accounts for the movements observed during Ouija board sessions. Controlled studies show that the planchette's movement is a result of participants' subconscious actions rather than paranormal activity. Cultural and historical context. Origins. The Ouija board originated in the late 19th century and gained popularity as a tool for spiritual communication. It was marketed as a novelty item and has since become a part of popular culture. Beliefs and practices. Despite scientific explanations, many people continue to use Ouija boards due to cultural beliefs or personal experiences that lead them to interpret the board's movements as messages from spirits. In summary, Ouija boards operate through psychological mechanisms such as the ideomotor effect and expectancy rather than supernatural forces. The movement of the planchette is generally attributed to unconscious muscle movements and psychological influences rather than any genuine spirit communication.
What is the best evidence of ghosts or spirits?
Evidence for ghosts or spirits is highly contested and varies widely depending on perspective. While many people report personal experiences and anecdotal evidence, scientific validation of ghosts or spirits remains elusive. Here's a summary of the types of evidence commonly cited and their scientific reception. Types of evidence for ghosts or spirits. Personal experiences. Accounts and testimonies. Many people report personal experiences with ghosts, including seeing apparitions, hearing voices, or feeling presences. These accounts can be compelling to those who experience them but are subjective and not easily validated. Scientific reception. Personal experiences are often considered anecdotal. While they can be powerful and convincing on an individual level, they lack the consistency and repeatability needed for scientific validation. Photographs and video evidence. Photos/videos. Some claim to capture images or videos of ghosts or paranormal activity. These might show unexplained figures, orbs, or other anomalies. Scientific reception. Photographs and videos can be easily manipulated or misinterpreted. Common explanations for anomalies include camera artifacts, reflections, dust particles, or other environmental factors. Skeptics argue that many purported ghost images lack context or detailed analysis. Electronic voice phenomena, EVP. Recording. EVP involves capturing unexplained voices or sounds on audio recordings that are not heard at the time of recording but are later discovered. Scientific reception. EVP is often considered to be the result of audio interference or misinterpretation of ambient noise. The phenomenon is not widely accepted as evidence of supernatural activity because the recordings can be ambiguous and influenced by various factors. Electromagnetic field, EMF, readings. Devices. Some ghost hunters use EMF meters to detect fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, which they believe might indicate ghostly presence. Scientific reception. EMF fluctuations are typically explained by the presence of electrical devices, wiring, or other sources of electromagnetic interference. There is no empirical evidence linking EMF anomalies directly to paranormal activity. Temperature changes. Cold spots. Ghost hunters often report sudden drops in temperature, known as cold spots, as evidence of ghostly presence. Scientific reception. Temperature changes can be caused by drafts, air conditioning, or other environmental factors. These fluctuations are not reliably linked to supernatural phenomena. Physical interactions. Object movement. Some claim to witness objects moving or other physical interactions attributed to ghosts. Scientific reception. Object movement can often be explained by natural causes, such as vibrations, drafts, or mechanical failure. Evidence of physical interactions typically lacks controlled conditions to rule out other explanations. Scientific perspective. A lack of empirical evidence. To date, there is no empirical, repeatable evidence supporting the existence of ghosts or spirits. Most scientific investigations into paranormal claims fail to produce consistent, verifiable results that can be reliably attributed to supernatural causes. As psychological and environmental explanations. Many ghostly experiences are often explained by psychological factors, such as the power of suggestion, sleep paralysis, or hallucinations. Environmental factors, such as electromagnetic fields or mold, can also influence perceptions and contribute to experiences interpreted as paranormal. Conclusion. While personal experiences and anecdotal evidence of ghosts and spirits are widespread and often compelling to those who experience them, they do not provide the rigorous, repeatable evidence required by the scientific community. Most purported evidence for ghosts or spirits can be explained through psychological, environmental, or technical factors rather than supernatural causes.
What is the most prominent story of ghosts or spirits?
There are many famous and prominent ghost stories and legends from around the world. Here are a few of the most well-known and enduring ghost stories. The Amityville Horror. A background. The Amityville Horror is one of the most famous modern ghost stories, originating from the Lutz family's experiences in a house on Long Island, New York, in the 1970s. The house was the site of a gruesome mass murder committed by Ronald DeFeo Jr. in 1974, and the Lutz family reported experiencing terrifying supernatural phenomena after moving in. Details. The family reported strange occurrences such as unexplained noises, cold spots, and even physical attacks. The story gained widespread attention through the book The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson and the subsequent film adaptations. Skepticism. Critics argue that the Lutz family's claims were exaggerated or fabricated for profit. The story remains controversial, with some seeing it as a genuine case of haunting and others viewing it as a hoax. The Bell Witch. A background. The Bell Witch legend comes from early 19th century Tennessee. The Bell family reported being haunted by a malevolent spirit, often referred to as the Bell Witch, which caused them various disturbances and harm. Details. The entity was said to manifest in various forms, including a disembodied voice, physical attacks, and mysterious noises. The haunting reportedly culminated in the death of John Bell, the head of the family. A legacy. The Bell Witch legend has been a significant part of American folklore and has inspired numerous books, movies, and documentaries. The Grey Lady of Hampton Court Palace. A background. Hampton Court Palace in London is reputedly haunted by the spirit of a woman known as the Grey Lady. The ghost is said to be that of Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of King Henry VIII, who was executed for adultery. Details. The Grey Lady is said to be seen wandering the palace, particularly in the areas where Catherine Howard was once held. Her ghostly appearances have been reported by staff and visitors over the years. A historical basis. The story is linked to the historical events surrounding Catherine Howard, and her spirit is said to be particularly active around the palace. The Haunting of the Queen Mary. A background. The Queen Mary is a retired ocean liner that is now a hotel and museum in Long Beach, California. It is reputedly haunted by several spirits. Details. Guests and staff have reported sightings of apparitions, strange noises, and other paranormal activity. Notable reports include a ghostly woman in a white dress and the sounds of children playing in the ship's swimming pool area. A popularity. The Queen Mary's reputation as a haunted location has made it a popular destination for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. The Poltergeist Case. A background. The Enfield poltergeist is one of the most well-documented cases of poltergeist activity in the UK. It occurred in the late 1970s in Enfield, London. Details. The Hodgson family reported various disturbances, including furniture moving on its own, loud noises, and objects being thrown. The case attracted the attention of paranormal investigators, including Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair. A controversy. While some investigators and witnesses believed in the authenticity of the events, skeptics have suggested that the disturbances were hoaxes or misinterpretations of natural phenomena. Conclusion. These stories are prominent in the realm of ghost lore and have had a significant impact on popular culture. While each story has its own set of believers and skeptics, they remain influential in shaping how ghosts and hauntings are perceived.
Many people have near-death experiences out-of-body experiences, etc. Do you have any speculation as to what could cause those events from a biochemical perspective?
Near-death experiences, NDEs, and out-of-body experiences, OBEs, are phenomena that have intrigued both scientists and the general public. From a biochemical and neurological perspective, several theories attempt to explain these experiences. Hypoxia. A description. Hypoxia refers to a deficiency in the amount of oxygen reaching the tissues. During extreme physiological stress or near death, the brain may experience reduced oxygen levels. A mechanism. Reduced oxygen can lead to altered brain function, including hallucinations and distorted perceptions. Some researchers suggest that the sensation of floating or seeing one's body from an external perspective might be related to brain regions involved in spatial orientation and self-perception being affected by low oxygen levels. Neurotransmitter effects. A DMT, dimethyltryptamine. Some theorists propose that the brain may release endogenous DMT, a powerful hallucinogen, during near-death experiences. DMT is naturally present in the body and can cause vivid, otherworldly experiences when administered externally. Endorphins and serotonin. The release of endorphins, which act as natural painkillers, and alterations in serotonin levels may also contribute to the altered states of consciousness experienced during extreme stress or near death. Temporal lobe activity. A description. The temporal lobes are involved in processing sensory input and memory, and are also linked to spiritual and mystical experiences. A mechanism. Some studies suggest that increased activity or disruption in the temporal lobes, possibly due to lack of oxygen or other stressors, might contribute to the feeling of detachment from the body or the perception of a spiritual experience. Cerebral hypoxia and hypercapnia. A description. In conditions of extreme stress or clinical death, the brain might experience both hypoxia, low oxygen, and hypercapnia, high carbon dioxide levels. A mechanism. These conditions can lead to altered mental states, including hallucinations or a sensation of floating. The brain's attempt to compensate for these imbalances might produce experiences that people interpret as spiritual or otherworldly. Psychological factors. A stress and trauma. Near-death experiences often occur in life-threatening situations, which can induce extreme psychological stress. The brain's response to trauma and stress might produce hallucinations or altered perceptions. Cultural and personal beliefs. The way people interpret NDEs or OBEs can be influenced by their cultural and personal beliefs. For example, people from different cultural backgrounds might interpret similar experiences in varying ways, such as encountering religious figures or deceased loved ones. Visual and auditory hallucinations. A description. Hallucinations can occur under extreme stress or in response to neurochemical changes. These can include seeing bright lights, hearing voices, or feeling a sense of detachment from the body. A mechanism. Hallucinations during near-death experiences might be caused by changes in brain function or structure due to stress, trauma, or biochemical changes. Changes in brain chemistry. A description. Near-death experiences can be accompanied by significant changes in brain chemistry, including alterations in neurotransmitter levels. A mechanism. For instance, a sudden surge in certain neurotransmitters or a disruption in normal brain function might lead to experiences that feel otherworldly or transcendent. Conclusion. While the exact biochemical mechanisms behind near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences are not fully understood, a combination of physiological, neurological, and psychological factors likely plays a role. These experiences might result from a range of factors, including hypoxia, neurotransmitter imbalances, brain activity alterations, and the psychological impact of extreme stress. While these explanations do not negate the subjective reality of the experiences, they provide a framework for understanding how such phenomena might occur from a scientific perspective.
What are some other cultural explanations of paranormal activity?
Cultural explanations for paranormal activity often reflect the values, beliefs, and traditions of specific societies. These explanations can provide insight into how different cultures interpret unexplained phenomena. Here are some cultural explanations for paranormal activity from around the world. Ancient Egyptian beliefs. Spirits and afterlife. Ancient Egyptians believed in a complex afterlife, where the soul, Ka, continued to exist after death. Ghosts were thought to be the spirits of deceased individuals who had unfinished business or unresolved issues. Protective amulets. To protect themselves from malevolent spirits, Egyptians used amulets and performed rituals. The Book of the Dead contains spells for guiding the deceased through the afterlife and ensuring safe passage. Japanese folklore. Yurei. In Japanese culture, yurei are spirits of the dead who have not found peace. They are often depicted as ghostly figures in traditional clothing, with long hair and a mournful demeanor. Yurei are believed to be the souls of those who died under tragic or unresolved circumstances. Obon Festival. The Obon Festival is a time when Japanese people honor the spirits of their ancestors. During Obon, it is believed that the spirits return to their families, and various rituals are performed to welcome and appease them. Chinese beliefs. Hun and Pa. In traditional Chinese beliefs, the human soul is composed of two parts, Hun, spirit, and Pa, body. After death, the Hun ascends to heaven while the Pa remains on earth. Ghosts are thought to be the restless Pa or spirits that have not transitioned properly to the afterlife. A ghost month. The Ghost Month, Hungry Ghost Festival, is observed in China and other East Asian countries. It is believed that during this time, spirits and ghosts roam the earth and require offerings of food and incense to appease them. Native American beliefs. Spirits and ancestors. Many Native American cultures believe in a close connection between the living and the spirit world. Spirits of ancestors are honored and believed to offer guidance and protection. Vision quests. In some traditions, vision quests or ceremonies are used to communicate with the spirit world and seek guidance from spirits. Haitian Vodou. Aloha and spirits. In Vodou, spirits known as Loa or Lwa are revered and can influence the lives of the living. Practitioners believe that Loa can possess individuals, communicate through them, or provide guidance. Ancestor worship. Ancestors are honored and believed to maintain a presence in the lives of their descendants. Rituals and offerings are made to appease and seek help from these spirits. South Asian beliefs. Bhut and Preta. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, spirits known as Bhut, ghosts, and Preta, hungry ghosts, are believed to exist. These entities are thought to be the souls of those who died with unresolved issues or negative karma. Rituals and offerings. To appease these spirits and ensure peace for the departed, rituals and offerings are made, especially during specific ceremonies like Pitru Paksh, a time to honor ancestors. Latin American beliefs. La Llorona. In many Latin American cultures, the legend of La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, is a popular ghost story. La Llorona is said to be the spirit of a woman who lost her children and now roams the earth, weeping and seeking them. A Day of the Dead. In Mexico and other Latin American countries, the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, is a celebration to honor deceased loved ones. Altars are created, and offerings are made to welcome and celebrate the spirits of the departed. European folklore. Witches and fairies. In various European cultures, folklore includes beliefs in witches, fairies, and other supernatural beings. These entities are often associated with paranormal activity, such as hauntings or strange occurrences. Hauntings. In medieval Europe, hauntings were sometimes attributed to restless souls or the consequences of unresolved disputes. Ghost stories often involved historical figures or tragic events. Conclusion. Cultural explanations for paranormal activity often reflect deeply held beliefs about the afterlife, spirits, and the supernatural. These explanations are shaped by historical, religious, and social factors and can vary widely from one culture to another. They provide valuable insight into how different societies understand and interpret experiences that might be considered paranormal.
Based on the number of religions that have ghosts, the percentage of people that believe in ghosts, the number of near-death experiences, and the scientific explanations of near-death experiences and explanations of paranormal activity, is it likely that ghosts exist?
The question of whether ghosts exist is complex and intersects with multiple disciplines, including religion, psychology, science, and cultural studies. Let's break it down based on the factors you mentioned. Number of religions with ghost beliefs. Many religions and cultural traditions include beliefs in spirits or ghosts. For example, in Christianity, there are concepts of spirits and the afterlife. In Hinduism, there are beliefs in spirits of ancestors. In various indigenous traditions, spirits play significant roles. This widespread occurrence suggests that belief in ghosts is a common human experience, but it doesn't provide empirical evidence for their existence. Percentage of people believing in ghosts. Surveys and studies often show that a significant percentage of people around the world believe in ghosts or have had paranormal experiences. This high percentage reflects the strong cultural and personal belief in ghosts, but belief alone does not confirm their existence. Number of near-death experiences, NDEs are reported by many people who have been close to death or in situations where they experienced clinical death. These experiences often include feelings of moving through a tunnel, encountering deceased loved ones, or having a sense of peace. While NDEs are compelling and often cited as evidence for the afterlife, scientific explanations suggest that they could be related to brain function under extreme stress or oxygen deprivation, rather than actual contact with an afterlife or ghosts. Scientific explanations for paranormal activities. Many paranormal experiences can be explained by natural phenomena. For example, some ghostly encounters might be attributed to psychological factors such as sleep paralysis, hallucinations, or the power of suggestion. Environmental factors, such as electromagnetic fields or mold, have also been linked to experiences perceived as paranormal. Scientific investigations into paranormal claims often find more mundane explanations rather than evidence of ghosts. In summary, while beliefs in ghosts are widespread and near-death experiences are reported by many, the scientific community generally requires empirical evidence to confirm the existence of ghosts. Most scientific explanations for ghostly phenomena point to psychological or environmental factors rather than supernatural causes. Thus, while the belief in ghosts is significant culturally and personally, there is no conclusive scientific evidence to support their existence.
Would you be able to provide the odds or likelihood of ghosts existing?
Determining the exact odds or likelihood of ghosts existing is challenging because it involves assessing both empirical evidence and subjective beliefs, and currently, there's no definitive scientific method to measure the existence of ghosts. However, I can outline the main factors that influence the assessment of such odds. Scientific evidence. To date, scientific investigations have not provided concrete evidence supporting the existence of ghosts. Various studies and experiments have not been able to reliably detect or measure ghosts. The lack of empirical evidence and reproducible results suggests that, based on current scientific understanding, the likelihood of ghosts existing is low. Psychological factors. Psychological explanations, such as sleep paralysis, hallucinations, and cognitive biases, often account for experiences interpreted as paranormal. These explanations suggest that many ghostly experiences may be rooted in psychological rather than supernatural phenomena. Cultural and anecdotal evidence. While many cultures and individuals have strong beliefs in ghosts, and anecdotal reports are numerous, such evidence is subjective and not scientifically verifiable. The widespread belief in ghosts does not equate to empirical proof of their existence. The role of probability and belief. The probability of ghosts existing could be theoretically estimated based on the balance of evidence and belief. Given the current scientific consensus and lack of verifiable evidence, many scientists and skeptics would argue that the probability is low. On the other hand, belief in ghosts remains high in various cultures, which reflects the significant role that personal and cultural factors play in shaping perceptions of reality. Overall, while it's difficult to assign a precise numerical probability to the existence of ghosts, the prevailing scientific view is that there is no solid evidence to support their existence. Thus, the likelihood, according to scientific standards, is considered to be low.
What are the dangers involved in paranormal investigations, both scientific and metaphysical?
Paranormal investigations, while intriguing to many, come with various risks and potential dangers, both from a scientific perspective and a metaphysical one. Here's a detailed look at these risks. Scientific risks. Physical risks. Hazardous locations. Investigating old, abandoned, or deteriorating buildings can pose physical dangers such as structural collapse, exposure to asbestos, mold, or other health hazards. Unstable floors, broken glass, and other debris can also cause injuries. Extreme environments. Some investigations may occur in extreme environments, such as remote locations or places with hazardous conditions, which can pose risks to health and safety. Equipment malfunction. False readings. Paranormal investigation equipment, such as EMF meters or thermal cameras, can produce false positives due to electrical interference or environmental factors. Relying on faulty or misinterpreted data can lead to incorrect conclusions. Technical failures. Equipment failures or malfunctions can occur, leading to a lack of reliable data or complications during an investigation. Mental health effects. Stress and anxiety. The intense nature of paranormal investigations can cause psychological stress, anxiety, or fear. Investigators may experience heightened states of alertness or paranoia, which can affect mental well-being. Sleep disturbances. Investigations often occur during late hours or overnight, leading to sleep deprivation, which can impair judgment and cognitive function. Legal and ethical concerns. Trespassing. Investigating private or restricted properties without permission can lead to legal issues. Trespassing charges or legal disputes can arise if investigators are caught on unauthorized sites. Privacy invasion. Recording or capturing images of individuals without their consent, especially in locations where people live or work, can raise ethical and legal concerns. Metaphysical risks. Psychological impact. Fear and trauma. Exposure to disturbing or unsettling phenomena, whether perceived as paranormal or not, can have a lasting psychological impact. Individuals may experience fear, anxiety, or trauma from what they encounter. Emotional disturbance. Prolonged exposure to paranormal activity or dark, negative energy can affect emotional well-being, leading to feelings of depression, agitation, or distress. Spiritual risks. Attachment or influence. Some believe that engaging with spirits or entities can lead to spiritual attachments or influences. Investigators may feel that they are being followed or haunted by entities from their investigations. Energy imbalance. In metaphysical beliefs, interactions with spirits or entities may disrupt personal energy fields or spiritual balance, leading to feelings of unease or malaise. Ethical considerations. Disrespectful behavior. Conducting investigations in a way that is perceived as disrespectful to the spirits or entities involved can have metaphysical consequences. This includes making light of serious or traumatic events connected to the location. Interference with the dead. Some believe that attempting to contact or interact with the deceased can interfere with their resting state or journey in the afterlife, potentially causing spiritual unrest. General considerations. As safety precautions. Regardless of the nature of the investigation, it's essential to take proper safety precautions, such as wearing appropriate protective gear, having a clear plan, and ensuring all participants are aware of the risks involved. Professionalism. Approaching investigations with professionalism and respect for both the location and any potential entities can help mitigate some of the metaphysical and ethical risks. In summary, paranormal investigations can involve both scientific and metaphysical dangers. Physical risks include hazards associated with the investigation environment and equipment, while metaphysical risks involve psychological and spiritual impacts. Proper precautions, respect, and awareness of these potential dangers can help mitigate some of the risks associated with paranormal research.
What locations in Ontario has the most reported paranormal activity?
In Ontario, several locations are renowned for reported paranormal activity, but one of the most frequently mentioned is the Old Toronto Jail, also known as the Toronto Dawn Jail. Here's a closer look at this and other notable locations with high paranormal activity reports. Old Toronto Jail, Toronto Dawn Jail. A background. The Old Toronto Jail, which operated from 1864 to 1977, is infamous for its harsh conditions and executions. It housed many notable figures and was the site of numerous executions. A reported activity. The jail is known for reports of ghostly apparitions, unexplained noises, and eerie feelings. Visitors and staff have reported seeing the spirits of former inmates and guards. The building's dark history and the execution chamber contribute to its reputation as one of the most haunted places in Ontario. Casa Loma. A location. Toronto, Ontario. A background. Casa Loma is a historic castle built in the early 20th century. It is known for its Gothic Revival architecture and extensive grounds. A reported activity. Ghost stories surrounding Casa Loma include sightings of the former owner, Sir Henry Pellet, and other apparitions. People have reported hearing unexplained noises, seeing shadowy figures, and experiencing cold spots. Queen's Park. A location. Toronto, Ontario. A background. Queen's Park is the site of the Ontario Legislative Building and has a history dating back to the late 19th century. A reported activity. The building has been associated with paranormal activity, including sightings of apparitions and unexplained occurrences in the legislative chambers and hallways. The Royal Ontario Museum, ROM. A location. Toronto, Ontario. A background. The ROM is one of the largest museums in Canada and houses a vast collection of artifacts and exhibits. A reported activity. There have been reports of paranormal activity, including strange noises and sightings of figures in the museum's older sections. The museum's long history and large collection contribute to its haunted reputation. The Fairmont Royal York Hotel. A location: Toronto, Ontario. A background: this historic hotel opened in 1929 and has hosted numerous dignitaries and celebrities over the years. A reported activity: guests and staff have reported seeing apparitions, hearing unexplained noises, and experiencing other supernatural phenomena, particularly in the hotel's older areas. The Niagara Falls View Casino Resort. A location: Niagara Falls, Ontario. A background: the Falls View Casino Resort is a large entertainment complex that also includes a hotel and gaming facilities. A reported activity: there have been reports of ghost sightings and unexplained phenomena, particularly in the older sections of the property. Conclusion: while the Old Toronto Jail is one of the most frequently mentioned locations for paranormal activity in Ontario, several other sites in the province also have notable reputations for ghostly occurrences. The stories and reports associated with these locations often reflect their histories and the events that occurred there, contributing to their haunted reputations.
Well, thank you for all the information regarding ghosts, spirits, death, and the afterlife.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could provide the information you were looking for. If you have any more questions about these topics or anything else, feel free to ask. Whether you're exploring the mysteries of the afterlife or diving into other subjects, I'm here to help.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Our interview with ChatGPT was very informative. With the rise of AI and its ability to collect information from across the internet, and thus across both the world and the historical accounts documented within the internet, our view of the paranormal can be expanded as well. The experiences that others have cannot be denied. We can only listen to them, document them, and look for patterns while we ourselves are searching for our own experiences in our spectral searches.